Hello and welcome, I am Thomas Porteous and you are watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. In light of the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan, Indian Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is leading a critical high-level meeting. Meanwhile, gunfire erupts again across the line of control after India intercepts a massive wave of missile and drone strikes from Pakistan. The Indian Army launches strong retaliatory strikes in response to the hostile actions. The Army dismisses rumours of suicide attacks in the Pathanot and Rajouri as completely baseless. Officials urge the public to ignore misleading reports circulating online. The LoC administration has ordered all schools across the district to stay shut on May the 9th and on May the 10th as rising tensions between India and Pakistan, officials have confirmed. In the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, former Pentagon official Michael Rubin publicly backs India military action against terror. He blames Pakistan for fomenting terrorism and calls on Washington to firmly stand with New Delhi. The Indian Army confirms that Pakistani troops launched coordinated drone and munitions attacks along the western border during the night of May the 8th and May the 9th. Multiple ceasefire violations took place along the LoC. The Indian Army responded with force and intercepted the threats promptly. Pakistan deploys swarm drones in a coordinated strike attempt across the LoC and border areas. The Indian Army's air defence destroys over 50 drones in a major operation covering Udhampur, Samba, Jammu and Anknor. The Border Security Force stops a significant infiltration bid near the international border in Jammu and Kashmir's Samba district. We are joined by Major General JKS Parihar, who is a defence expert based in New Delhi. Thank you very much, Major General Parihar, for joining us on the programme. We woke up this morning, many of us, to see this escalation by Pakistan. Over 50 drones launched over the border, the de facto border between India and Pakistan. Can I just get your initial thoughts on these developments that have occurred in the past 8 hours in regards to Pakistan's escalation?
This was expected. In fact, for to face saving by the Pakistan army political establishment, they had to retaliate to some extent. But they had not realized that any action after the Sindoor 1. Sindoor 1 was basically the action, it was the non-military action by the Indian armed forces against the terrorists. It was not aimed to the military establishment and the civil population. But Pakistan had committed a mistake to launch an offensive air attack against India's military establishments right from the Srinagar up to the entire western border. And that has prompted India to take the action, and it has proved the way India has responded. It has proved that Pakistan Air Force were not able to penetrate the Indian air defense system. That has proved that Indian air defense system is highly robust, well alert, and could do the job. Subsequently, once Pakistan has opened in the Indian military establishment, then it is a war. They have declared war against India. And government of India has to take the action, but it was confined to only till now to the air. And the way the Indian armed forces has acted, the Air Force, what the new pattern which has come in last decade or so, what we have seen in Ukraine-Russia war, then in the Israel-Gaza and all, the air superiority. Earlier it used to be the ground forces taking up and the air is giving support. No, now the first strike is the air. And that to the first strike on the destroying the air defense system. So that the opponent's air forces cannot work. And India did the same thing. in the Lahore and other places, we were able to successfully destroy and put the gross damage to the Pakistan air defense system. Once it is destroyed, now their air force cannot take up that subsequent attacks so loudly. And thereafter, the Indian missiles in the different places has proved that Pakistan is on the back foot. Now, next step, what could it
Yes.
be there? Either either there is a stoppage is here only from the either of the side. If Pakistan responds, the next once the air defense system is destroyed, the Indian Air Force can go and give the support to the ground forces, and ground forces can start taking up the load. So it's an open war now. It all depends how both countries, states, and the international scenario, how does it develop. It's very interesting to see for next 2-3 days.
Yes, we now move on to Pratik Joshi, researcher who also joins us from the University of Oxford as a researcher who's also located in New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us, Pratik. Operation Sindoor is a limited counter-terror strike. Given today's escalation, has the operation, do you think, deterred or provoked further aggression from Pakistan?
So thank you so much for having me. From the doctrinal point of view, it's massively it's a massive shift where the strikes on the headquarters of the two main terrorist agencies, that kind of sends a signal that this is a beginning of something more serious. And if we go back in time, these ideas were floated way back in 2008 when the post 2611 decision making thought whether we should strike or not, but the targets had been locked. So I think this, besides being a doctrinal shift, this also quashes all those academic or those Western theories that have been projecting stability instability paradox, things like, okay, because Pakistan is nuclear, so India cannot attack in any way. So this is the beginning of something serious, as General Parihar also said. And I think the next end game, as we are seeing, is locking off the military targets, because the bigger message is that this time India finds no difference between the sponsors, the terror factories, and the military which has been supporting them. So both of them, they are synonymous. They were synonymous back then, but militarily, there's no difference that the Indian strategic establishment sees.
Yes. I wanted to stay with you, Pratik. Along with the military warfare that's going on the ground, this seems to be a war of information, a war of words, and in this modern world of social media and the internet, information can be diluted, it can be dispersed in ways that we don't want it to be. How are you, and how do you think India should approach this situation when it comes to the sharing of information? How do you think the Western world should go about it when it comes to the sharing information in regards to this conflict?
So the first thing is that the PIB fact check has been very active, and it has been sending advisories and very crucial tweets and social media updates that are cautioning both the civilians, the citizens, and the media organizations to not irresponsibly share information. That's one thing. Secondly, as we are seeing the tri-services and the MEA, unlike the Pakistani side, where the defense minister claimed that please look into the social media, the information is out there. I thought that's very responsible of any senior official or a senior policy maker to go on board and say, please look at the social media. So compared to that, our officials, our policymakers have been very cautious in informing the citizens as well as the international media about how India sees the crisis and how India is planning its next step. So I think the delineation of authority and the simultaneous role played by our information and broadcasting ministry, the PIB specifically, it's a great effort that's being taken side by side.
Pratik Singh, thank you, and please stay with us. We have some more information for you. According to sources, Pakistan used Chinese-made SH-15 artillery guns to target Indian positions in last night's firings. There were casualties in last night's firings, according to some reports. We are now joined by Irina Sukerman, senior journalist located in New York, to discuss this in more detail. Irina, thank you for joining us. How are you? Do you analyse China's action in this war? Obviously, they've called and supported Pakistan for an international probe, or an international neutral probe, on the original Pahalgam attacks. They have now had reports of their weapons being used in strikes against India. What are your thoughts on the Chinese movements when it comes to this conflict and their diplomatic moves as well?
Thank you so much. I think China is playing a double game here. I think it's very easy to make neutral sounding diplomatic moves in order to shirk accountability. In reality, China cannot be called a neutral actor. First of all, Pakistan has become a de facto colony of China. It is in debt, $20 billion in debt. So we can say that China owns Pakistan, and the sheer amount of economic activity between the two countries indicates as much. The fact that China sells weapons to Pakistan, knowing that those weapons are likely to be misused or end up in the hands of terrorist organizations, even at the risk to Chinese-owned projects in Pakistan, itself makes it culpable, knowing the irresponsible handling of these weapons in the past, and the fact that Pakistan has failed to exercise control over terrorist organizations on its territory. However, there's more to the story. China in the past has been linked to other conflicts. We have seen China direct the Houthis and provide weapons to the Houthis to be used against Western targets. We have seen evidence of Chinese activity in Hamas terrorist attacks against Israel, including Chinese engineers operating on the ground. And it is very likely the case that China has provided that sort of behind-the-scenes assistance to both Pakistan and terrorist organizations, both in this instance and more broadly over time. We also are likely to see evidence of Chinese information warfare on TikTok and other China-linked social media apps, because that is the pattern of activity. China has used official and unofficial channels to provide political backing to its allies and proxies, and to advance its geopolitical agendas through these strategic communication exchanges, even if it's not a party to the conflict. Nevertheless, China has an interest in destabilizing India at a particularly sensitive time. The initial attack took place while Vice President of the United States was visiting, and while Prime Minister Modi was visiting Saudi Arabia and taking part in high-level meetings. All of that was very clearly a message. Another agenda for China is to draw India into a long-term, costly, and unpredictable war, which would disrupt the IMEC, any attempt to revive the idea of the IMEC corridor, which is a potential rival to the BRI project connecting China to the Middle East, and as well as in Europe. All of these are long-term geostrategic interests of China, and it certainly benefits from a conflict. I doubt it took any action to prevent anything from happening, and most likely it incited or contributed in some way to the strategic planning, perhaps not the military aspects of it, but the logistical and technical aspects of at least Pakistan's activity, and possibly the terrorist groups as well.
Yes. Major General Parihar, I want to come back to you. As Irina was saying previously, China tends to move very much behind the scenes. What are your views on how Beijing has approached this process. Obviously, the country that borders both India and Pakistan, it's been vocal in its voice for its advocacy for de-escalation, but now we see Pakistan using Chinese-made weapons to attack India. What are your thoughts?
China, no doubt, China and Pakistan have a strong military and diplomatic bond. There is no question to confront it with this fact. But another fact is clear. China is not a country who are going to fight with Pakistan against India. They won't come in a direct confrontation with India. As such, they have the contract with the Pakistan armed forces to supply weapons, defense systems, and to their DF-17 articulated missiles and all. They have economical links with the CPC projects and all, and moral support. They can act when the UN decision veto against India to that. But to have the Chinese opening up another front into Ladakh or Arunachal or into central Uttarakhand to the Bhutan border, it is highly unlikely.
I'm very sorry, General Parikar. We believe to have some technical issues with your audio there, but we do have some more information for you. Pakistan has appealed for further loans appeal to international partners for more loans after heavy losses inflicted by the enemy amid escalating war and stocks that have crashed. We urge international partners to help de-escalate. That has come from the government of Pakistan. I want to come back to you, Irina Sukerman, on this next one. How would you analyse the strength of Pakistan's international partners? Obviously, we've seen widespread support for India in this crisis, including that of the US, being the main staunch ally of India. But as we see there, Pakistan has appealed to international partners for financial support. Do you see this happening? How loyal are are Pakistan's closest international allies?
Well, the biggest ally that Pakistan can appeal to is China, of course. The sunken cost fallacy makes it difficult for China to refuse assistance because Pakistan is already so much in debt, and because China has invested so much money into assorted projects, and because, and let's face it, China is most likely complicit in what has transpired. It will be difficult for China to ignore this appeal completely. There are other actors, however, who can be beneficial as well. Turkey has been extremely active in Pakistan. Pakistan, Turkey, Qatar, and Malaysia, part of a so-called Islamist quartet, ideologically aligned, politically aligned, and also militarily aligned. Many of the Pakistani military has been training in Turkey, and it is believed that Turkey may have been one of the actors contributing to the incitement of the terrorist organizations, and possibly to a lot more than that. So Turkey, however, it's in a poor financial situation itself. It's economically unstable. It's facing internal instability. Nevertheless, it has never stopped funding assorted activity abroad, even at the cost to its own citizens. It may come through. Qatar is another reliable partner, ideologically dedicated to extremism, to the cause of Kashmir, has been one of the ideologically inciting parties that has been spreading the ideological message through its media and social media channels, and it has no shortage of money to spare. It has also invested in India for economic reasons, but it has also attempted to meddle in India's affairs by causing problems with local Muslim communities and just trying to cause frictions. It would not be surprising if Qatar came through as well, simply out of self-interest in promoting the ideological line. Finally, there is other Gulf states with interests in Pakistan, economic interests, like UAE and Saudi Arabia. UAE is less likely
Yeah.
to intervene. It has increasingly shifted towards India. Saudi Arabia has tried to keep a balanced approach, but it is no supporter of terrorism and cannot publicly take a position in support of Pakistan, given the fact that Prime Minister Modi was inside the country when the Kashmir attack happened. It has publicly called for de-escalation. It has attempted to repair its relations with the latest Pakistani Prime Minister after a period of cooling off, but I think this incident will be a major setback, and I'm very doubtful that Saudi Arabia will have much money to spare to this cause other than for purely humanitarian purposes.
Yes, we have some more information coming in. Civilian houses in border town of Jammu and Kashmir were damaged after a shelling by Pakistan last night. Visuals deferred by an unspecified time. We have some more information as well. India's capital airport, Indira Gandhi International Airport, releases passenger advisory on all operations, which remain normal for the time being. We are joined, we're still joined by General Padihar. What can I get? Can I get some insight from you, General, please, about the possibility of airspace being closed as things stand? The effective area is only in Jammu and Kashmir and along the border and the line of control. But can we expect more closures creeping more east?
See, the main focus from the India, if at all from the Indian side, will be to be offensive in the Jammu and Kashmir area towards the POK, to realign it and to safeguard our interests on the Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan border, and as well as in the Kutch Kana. So here the defensive is expected, but offensive would be in the J&K, and to some extent to pressurize Pakistan, there could be towards the Lahore. That is the standard that we have been followed in 65 and 71, and so that is expected. But from the Pakistan side, what they are going to do it, we don't know exactly. But their focus is invariably remains from the Sialkot area to enter into the Cham and towards the Jammu side and from the Pakistan. That is why the Indian Air Force has taken the lead and destroyed their air defense system in the Sialkot and Lahore, and subsequently these further actions can be taken. So now the warfare system is totally changed. It is now the air dominance to begin with it and to support with it. So all depends upon the how much the Pakistan is going to escalate and what is in the mindset of the Prime Minister. It is always fair to trust upon the military tactics, which if it is having some sense of anticipation that goes behind and the target, whatever you are expecting, is befitting target, it loses it.
Yes.
So the media has a very strong responsibility to deal with it. The war is not only fought by the armed forces and the country, but the economy and all. It is now the information warfare that starts first. So there will be a lot of fake news, fake videos from both the sides. I don't, because it is a part of a system. So media has to be responsible. We have to be responsible and rely upon whatever is coming from the official sources. It may be little less, maybe late, but it is good for the everywhere, both the countries as well as for the international environment and to maintain, because there will be so many odd videos and even the TV news. They are showing from both the sides, from the India and Pakistan TV channel. They are showing the old videos as if it has taken place yesterday or just now. It is very different scenario what we are facing. In the war tactics, doctrines, everything is changed. You cannot go with the conventional of the Second World War and other things. You have to keep wide open to see and tackle the situation.
We have some more information for you. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah is en route to Jammu to take stock of the situation after Pakistan's attempted drone attacks late last night, which were foiled by the Indian Armed Forces. This comes after explosions were heard in the Poonch and Rajouri sectors, while heavy artillery shelling was reported along the LoC in Poonch, Angkor and other areas in the intervening night of May the 8th and 9th. Prateik Singh, I wanted to bring you back in, Pratik Joshi, and ask you about the Jammu and Kashmir's government response, the state-level government response to this conflict. We've seen that Omar Abdullah, the chief minister of the region, has responded. What are your thoughts on what the local government can do in this situation and how they have reacted so far?
So usually the overall security is in the hands of the central government. Having said that, even in place like Jammu and Kashmir, where it's a union territory, this time the local government has been quite active in supporting the government's initiatives, and I feel that in a time of crisis, it's very important that given the federal setup, both the center and the states or the UTs should be, the decision making should be coordinated. There should be a consensus, and this time, as the threat is severe, the statements from the chief minister are quite measured, and it clearly shows that he's extended his full support without getting into the usual, those debates that Kashmiri politicians have usually been engaging with. So there is a high degree of coordination, and I think if you see a recent statement of some days ago when Chief Minister Mr. Abdullah also criticized the Indus Waters Treaty. So there's a good deal of, I would say, coordination and clarity on what actions are important in the broader, quest for national security and the defense of India's border areas. And as we saw last night, that the sky over Jammu was red, and the S-400 systems successfully spotted the drone attacks. That actually also establishes the efficacy and the precision of the Indian defenses. And I think the UT government will do whatever it's best in providing the relief to people in the border areas. So we are hoping that there shouldn't be much of a problem domestically, but yes, the preparation for what is to come in the future, because the Pakistanis have taken Indian military installations to the target. I think that's where our next focus should lie on.
Yes, we have some more information for you once again. We have fresh visuals of burnt and damaged civilian houses and shops in a border village of Jammu and Kashmir after Pakistan resorted to heavy shelling last night coming in. Visuals are deferred by an unspecified time. I want to thank the guests today for joining us in this discussion. Pratik Joshi, Major General Padihar and Irina Sukerman, thank you very much. And we will, of course, bring you all the updates in this developing situation in Jammu and Kashmir and along the line of control and the de facto border. Thank you very much for joining us, and continue to stay with us as we bring you more international news. Thank you.